Right. So when we are working on Guidewire Claim Center, especially in context to the developmental roles are concerned, because understanding over the claim center configuration as well as integration is one of the key and important thing one should be known with. From a Guidewire developer point of view, especially in the claim center, right? So because either it can be policy center, billing or claims, they remaining the same. But when it comes to the Guidewire Claim Center, developer roles are concerned, which can be categorized into two different parts. So one is in the configuration side, we must be good with. At the same time, second, we must be good with integration side. Okay, these are the two things we must be familiar with. Configuration, where we have to make some customizations on the application, because whenever we are working on the Guidewire Claim Center application, because majorly Claim Center we use for claims that we receive at the same time through the FNOL process by the policy person if there is any collusion happened or so. Followed by this claim process will be made by us. So once the claim process is completed, claim settlement will be taken care. That's what generally the overall understanding over the claim center. So in the process, the very first thing whenever we have received a FNOL process, well, let me just draw this. Like for example, customer. Okay, so customer collide with some accident, something like right. So for example, customer has taken a commercial property, commercial vehicle insurance is met with some accident or so. So what customers do? Customer will inform this to the insurance company. Okay, that's where generally this insurance company claim center team, so the process generally we call it as FNOL, which is nothing but first notice of loss. So whenever the first notice of loss has received by the claim center, generally claim center people has to verify what kind of policy a person is holding, policy holder is holding. Either it can be a person or it can be a company account. So what kind of policy person is holding? At the same time, what are the coverages? So they have to look for. So what is required? So this claim center must be integrated with the policy center. That's where you see this integration come into picture. Means when we are working on the integration front, I'm not talking about configuration. I'm talking about the integration first, right? So when we are talking about the integration, what is required? So this claim center must be integrated with the policy center. So the data can be accessed because we are sending a request to the policy center about the policy information. So that policy information is giving us the result. So for that integration, that's where we use the API, which is called RESTful API is being used. Okay, so from a Guidewire developer point of view in Claim Center, so from the integration point of view, there are three integration elements you see. The first integration element the first one is called web services. Okay, web services where so RESTful API everything is being used. Second, we use message queue. Message queues are being used for second one. The third about batch processing. Okay, third about batch processing. Right, so third one about the batch processing. So these are the three integration elements generally we use. But to access the data, what is required? So web services used in this web services, we are using RESTful API. Okay, RESTful API. Again, RESTful API of connectivity where process can be two. One is about the synchronous process. And second is called as asynchronous process. Okay. One is about the synchronous process. Second is about the asynchronous process. Synchronous process means where here we are giving the information to the, we are sending a request to the policy center where we are getting the details. This is where we call it as synchronous processes. So asynchronous process means where we are updating the information for any future requirements. Means if you want to generate any kind of analytical reports and all in future time. So where this is required. So this is what we call it as asynchronous process case. So everything that can be done whenever we are working on the integration as from the RESTful API point of view that we will be using it. So message queues anyway, because message queues means, let's say a customer has paid any premium, right? So automatically policy document will be sent to them. Next, batch process we have to run. So batch process we need to run uh, because how many people have renewal in this month or next coming month, we wants to know. So this is all comes under the batch processing point of view. So whenever we are working on the claim center, especially from the integration developer point of view, it can be policy center or billing or claims, the same, but whenever we are learning claim center today, so we must be knowing about the integration elements, right? So what are the different integration elements, etc. Everything that we must be good with. This is all integration. Okay, this is all integration. Now the second one, yeah. Now the second one is called configuration. Okay, this is what generally we call it as configuration stands for. Configuration means, for example, we want to make any kind of changes in the data model, because there are all the different files that we have, right? So here we can see, right? So these are the different data files we have. So existing data fields are the configuration files that we are having, etc. So we want to make some changes in the field level validations we want to make, or else we want to make some changes on the messages, or else we want to see some kind of files which are relating to the data mapping point of view. Means, for example, we want to perform some data mapping or something of that kind. So we have to perform some data mapping, etc. Or else we need to perform some batch processing, etc. Everything that will be updated. So whenever we are working on these applications, whenever we are working on the integration, uh, we will be integrating policy center with billing, claims, etc. Everything that we will be doing. But whereas when it comes to the configuration point of view, we must be knowing about how these configurations we can work with. Okay, what are the different configurations? Or else if there is any existing project which is located where we can connect to the GitHub, because GitHub where we will be storing all the data, right? So all the code, etc. Everything will be stored over there. So everything that we can store in, and we can access the information subsequently whenever it is required. So all these things will be part of Guidewire Claim Center when it comes to the configuration point of view. Here I can say configuration, where we need to go with config. In this config, we will be finding all that, right? So if you want to go for batch processing, etc., so we can go for batch processing. Or else if you want to go for configuration, we can go for configuration. Or else if you want to add any kind of data mapping files or something of that kind, we can go for data mapping files, and we can do that. We can perform whatever the required data mapping is required, everything that can be done by us. So these are the major ones. Whenever we are working on the claim center developer point of view, two things. One is about the configuration front, we must be knowing. Second, about the integration front. Configuration, where we may require to make changes on the data model part, or is there any kind of pages that we have, page configuration files, etc. If you want to make any changes and all PCF file changes we have to do. Else, if you are working on the if you are working on the data model, we need to make some field level changes and all data model. So whatever is application is required. So here you can see this is about the claim center, where any fields, data fields you want to change, or else any drop down boxes you want to be changed here. So all the drop down boxes, etc., everything we can do that. We can make the changes in the drop down box. Or else if you want to add some new entities to the existing one, everything will be comes under the data model. Let's say, for example, here you can see these are the drop down box activities you want to see. My activities, last in 2 days, 7 days, all open, all that. Now customer want a requirement where they want to add one more entity to the existing one. So all these entities, everything will be done under the type list. In the configuration, whenever we are going for extensions there, so instead of entities, we have even type list also, where in the type list we can make necessary changes in the application. So it's not only about the technical process of the application, wherein we must be knowing about the functional part also, because how the claims will be taken place over here. For example, if there is no claim, there is no policy that we have identified due to the server issues or something, we must be knowing about how to create unverified policy. So creation of unverified policies will be done further. Followed by this, will verify what kind of policy a person has taken, what are the policy coverages we'll see. So that what are all, it can be bodily injury, right? It can be vehicle damage, right? So any one or any two of that kind. So based on that, we have to work on together. So this is something which we should know when we are working on the Guidewire Claim Center developer point of view. Having knowledge over both the functional part of the Claim Center, at the same time knowing about the technical part of configuration, integration, etc. must be good with. So that whenever there is any kind of questions we come across in interview, so that it is easy for us to resolve.